Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion, your host, Hut, and welcome back to the Baseball Hut, and hope you like this video. Why you need to subscribe to this channel? Well, first of all, this is a trade proposal, so you're going to want to watch the whole video, I think, to see what kind of trade I am proposing. And two, personal reason, I want to get to 5,000 subscribers on this channel, and I know if you're watching for the first time, you're going to hit that subscribe button. We have a lot of fun here. I don't care what the hell I say. I am not associated with anybody other than myself. So I'll say whatever comes off the top of my head when I do these videos. But there were a lot of stuff factually based a lot of time, most of the time. And I give you my opinion. So, we can discuss it in the comments section or whatever you like. But here we go. As I scratch my head trying to figure out this trade. So as you know, rumor is that the Padres, who are one of the biggest disappointments other than New York Mets and a few other teams, New York Yankees are another one, that did not make postseason. And the Padres collected this big collection of superstars, and it just didn't work. It didn't work in 2021. It didn't work last year. Well, it kind of worked last year, but it certainly didn't work this year at all. And there's been a lot of infighting between the manager, Bob Melvin, and A.J. Preller. Also, I've heard word, this was a few months ago, from Mike Francesa, the legendary radio talk show host. And he had sources, and he said this on SNY, which is the Mets network. He had said that the Padres had lost out on a broadcasting deal that would have pumped in millions and millions of dollars into the franchise. Well, that deal fell through, I guess, in May. It fell through in May. And the word is that going into the off-season that the Padres are going to start moving contracts. Now, Juan Soto does not have a contract beyond next year. However, word is, according to Mike Francesa, it's not me saying this. Mike Francesa said that Soto wasn't happy in San Diego. It's been very quiet, but that he's a non-controversial guy. He's not a drama queen, but the word is quietly that he's not happy out there. I think he's kind of more of an East Coast kind of guy. I don't think he's really a West Coast kind of guy. Everybody seems to be a West Coast kind of guy. The East Coast and the West Coast are very similar, especially New York and California, but it doesn't seem like he is that big of he doesn't really like the situation there in San Diego. Things didn't, like I said, haven't worked out. Last offseason, they signed Seth Lugo. They signed Xander Bogaerts, which was the big move that they made. But last year, they made that big trade for Juan Soto. And at the time, it was such a weird trade for the Padres to make. But he didn't have a good second half with them. He's played really well this year. He's got 30 home runs, 100 RBIs. The big number you need to know about Soto, if you don't know, he's 24 years old. And he fits in line with what the Mets are trying to do with this team, and that is to get younger. He's been in baseball a long time, but he's 24, 25 years old. So with that in mind, it seems like a natural fit for the Mets to go talk to them and ask them what would it take to make a trade. Now, the other day, Jeff Passan, who's a big MLB insider, had said that the Mets are a scary possibility to trade for him. They have a lot of prospects. They have a lot of middle infielders that are prospects. I'm going to propose a trade in this video that you can agree with me, you can disagree with me. And I'm not one of these people that, I've done these videos in the past where I did these clickbait videos about trades. I would mention that I was one of the first to say the Mets should make a trade for Francisco Lindor, and I basically gave you almost every piece. I said 2 guys that had major league experience and 2 minor league players, and that's exactly what that trade came out to be. For this trade, I will say 1 player is a major leaguer, and the other 3 are minor leaguers. As we go into this video, again, please, of course, subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. If you want to hear about this, keep subscribing. Hit that subscribe button. But over sort of the last few days, and since word of this possibility the Mets doing this, the Mets have built up their farm system. one of the many things you do when you build a farm system up is not just to call them up, but you have a glut and you have extra pieces in a position which is middle infield for the Mets. And obviously with the pitching, we're gonna talk about that in a moment. But the reason you build a farm system isn't just to play guys, have them come up to the major leagues, have them be everyday players or stars, or whatever. It's also to trade them for better players and to improve your team. So here is the trade I am proposing. It involves 4 players from the Mets going to the Padres for Juan Soto. And Juan Soto, I mentioned again, he's 24 years old. A lot of people compare him to Ted Williams in terms of his ability to get on base. He is an on-base machine. He's always getting on base through the walk, which is very unusual for today's day and age of players. He does strike out like every other player does today, but he walks a lot. He's got one of the highest on-base percentages in baseball, if not the highest. And he is what they call a generational player in terms of as an offensive player. And this should not be pushed away in terms of just the idea of trading for him. You have to sort of think long and hard. This is not a difficult decision, in my view, to make this kind of a trade, to be honest with you. Now, the Padres are desperate to move him. So, and he has 1 year left on his contract. And he wasn't a player that they developed. So right off the bat, the Padres are in a disadvantaged situation. All right, so here are the players the Mets are going to move. I keep pushing off. I'm going to send them 2 pitchers, 2 minor league pitchers. Before we get into that, they're not going to move Blade Tidwell. He's going to stay. I'm not going to move Tyler Stewart. But I'm going to give them the Mets' closest pitcher to the major leagues. That's Mike Vasil, who's in AAA. He has been going through the system over the last few years. He's in AAA right now. Obviously, if the Mets decide to sign a pitcher that is a younger pitcher, say Yamamoto, that replaces Vasil in your system because Yamamoto would put in the MLB pipeline in terms of prospects. So Mike Vasil will be one of the pieces going in return. He's the Mets' 9th best prospect. I believe the 16th best prospect, and he's another pitcher, and that's Dominic Hamill. He's in AA. So right off the bat, the Padres are getting 2 guys that could go into their rotation sometime next year. Or, in Vasil's case, he could start the year in their rotation. They're back end of the rotation guys. The Mets don't have front end guys. They have middle to back end. The only 2 guys they have that could be front end guys is, like I said, Tyler Stewart and Blade Tidwell. I'm not giving them up. Another piece who I think is a player that they picked up from the Astros, and that is Ryan Clifford, who's 19 years old. They picked him up for Justin Verlander from Houston. He's considered a very good prospect. He has a lot of power. He can play the outfield. He can play first base. He's a few years away. He'll be starting next year, I guess, in Brooklyn, and then he'll make his way to the system. He's about 2-3 years away. He's considered to be a very good power hitter, a guy that knows the strike zone, who walks a lot. His comparison, believe it or not, is to Lucas Duda. Now, Lucas Duda, we can sort of argue about. He did a lot of home runs for the Mets, so he would be a pretty good piece. He could be considered a player that could be an everyday player down the road. Now, this final piece, this final player, we finally get a chance to see him. Now, keep in mind that he is about 22, 23 years old, and Juan Soto is 24. Now that we finally got a chance to see him, but he's been in the majors. He's been impressive at times, but he's been sort of average offensively. But he is a very impressive individual. If you watch him every day, in terms of his athleticism, he's much more athletic than I thought he would be. Just going through the scouting reports on him, and that is Mets second baseman, shortstop, third base, whatever they want to play him, Ronnie Mauricio. Now, you're going to be all upset. Why you trade Mauricio? Look, you got to move somebody. He only has less than a month in the major leagues. You're going to bring in a guy that's a year or so older than him, and he could be here for a long time. He could be here for 10, 15 years and be a Hall of Fame player. You have to give up something to get something. And that's my proposal. The trade is this: Ronnie Mauricio, Ryan Clifford, Mike Vassell, and Dominic Hamill. And those 4 guys go to the San Diego Padres for Juan Soto. That's the kind of trade that you do if you're serious about being good for years to come. Now, obviously, the Mets have to sign to a contract. He's going to get a massive contract. But for his age, it's a little bit different than, say a guy is 29, 30 years old that's coming from another team or older. It's a little bit different. He's much, much younger than these other players, and he's established. He's won a batting title. He's won a World Series. We kind of know his character. There's not like this sort of, I don't think there'd be any surprises with him. There's never any kind of drama surrounding him. There's no sort of uncomfortable stories about Juan Soto. And he does have a great batting average in Citi Field. He has put it out there that he wants to play here in Queens. So it seems to me to be a much better fit than, say, and it has given up players for him. And, I mean, they did that with Francisco Lindor a couple years ago. Lindor had 1 more year on his contract. The Mets traded for him. They didn't let him go to free agency. He didn't go to free agency. They didn't wait. They signed him right away after trading for him. That's a similar situation. Now, with the Nationals, when the Nationals didn't sign him, the Nationals were in the process, the beginnings of wanting to sell the team. So they didn't want to, I guess, put in all the money for a player that they didn't care about, or in a franchise they didn't care about anymore. So it doesn't seem like Soto is going to finish his career in San Diego. It makes sense for the Padres to move him, get some good prospects back. The Mets have given them very good prospects. And they're giving them a player that's playing every day in the majors, who's probably going to be an everyday player. To what level he's going to be, I don't know. But he is a good player, a very good talent. And you give them other pieces. You give them 2 pitchers that are going to help them next year and a bat later down the road. But that's my proposal. You let me know what you think about that in the comments section. And of course, please subscribe. That's the most important thing you can do. Trying to get the 5,000 subscribers. That is a major goal for my channel. Between now and December 31st, 2023. And I know you'll come through for me. You've come through for me for the first 3 years of this channel. And really, I really appreciate the time that you take to watch these videos and leave great comments. And of course, thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.